one latched immediately. So of course I thought they'd all be that way. But with him, I had some very sore nipples in the beginning.
As a baby, I'm told, I used to chew and gnaw on the nipple, and so I was taken away from the teat early. This has had no impact on my life since, and I'm very normal.
I was also bottle fed. I don't remember exactly if my mother started breastfeeding or if I just went straight to the bottle from day one. Either way, I have clearly turned out well.
It's Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast with Josh and John.
Yes.
If you're wondering what the fuck, that is from a commercial for Wick, and it is about how they can help mothers with breastfeeding problems. I think it's funny that it is targeted at, like, 4-time mothers who, like, sometimes don't have a problem and other times do, but, you know, I guess that's your audience.
Absolutely. I also like the assumption that only poor, horribly off people would be watching this movie.
I know. They're like, okay, they're watching a horror movie on a free streaming service. We can afford the commercial spot. The movie's called The Suckling. I bet I know who would really appreciate this commercial.
Let's play it 90 times. Oh man, how wow. Yeah. I think it looked different, like a little bit better than the last time we watched it, which isn't saying much because it still looked terrible.
Yeah, it did. Oh, so speaking of that, John, what do you mean since the last time we watched it?
Well, as it turns out, we were going to cover this movie once before, and even went so far as to record an entire motherfucking episode.
Yep.
Which promptly did not get recorded.
Well, it did get recorded. We recorded it.
Oh, that's okay, but it got lost or something? What was it?
So it was we used to record ahead of schedule so that we like if we missed one, whatever. And so this one we recorded as a bank episode. So in case we had to like miss a recording session, we could play this one. And so we had it in the bank, and then the Supreme Court shit the bed and decided, let's overturn Roe v. Wade. And
That's
we were
right.
like, maybe the things we said in that episode aren't as good now as they were then. And then we also moved to an hour-long format instead of just however many hours we felt like talking format. And,
that's right.
Yeah. So this is us re-recording a lost episode. This is the first time that we've ever recorded an episode that we'd already recorded one of. So forgive us, and you're welcome.
You're welcome. And take a seat and light up a fat one, because we will be discussing 1990's The Suckling by Francis Teri.
Francis Teri, the literally one-time movie director. He came out and said, I was not prepared to make a movie. I didn't realize how much trouble it was going to be, or how difficult it was going to be, or how unprepared I was to do it. He has also gone on record as saying that he did not intend this movie to be an anti-abortion sentiment. He was like, no, that's not what this is.
What it is really open for discussion.
He is now a dance instructor and does not direct movies.
Wow, that is... Wait, who's the other one that was a dance instructor?
It was him.
Oh, okay, it was him?
Yeah, it was him the last time we recorded an episode about this.
Oh, yeah, no, I thought that someone else was also... What happened to the guy from Basket Case? What did he grow on to do?
Oh, he does sculpture now. He, like...
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he does stone carving and, like, teaches people how to do awesome sculpture and stuff.
You can't keep the artists down.
No. Even when they go on strike. So go out there, support the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild. You can WGA, you can SAG. It's all good.
That's right. No kidding. And fuck the industry.
Yeah. It's. I just read about what it is. They wanted to pay, like, background actors a one-day fee, like a one-time, one-day fee, and then they owned your likeness for the rest of movie industry time.
Fuck no. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they were like, we use you in the background, and then we use AI to replicate you in the background of anything we feel like for the rest of time.
Yeah, wow. That's great.
Yeah, so fuck all of those guys, and I guess don't watch new movies or TV shows? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get that ironed out.
Yeah. Let's see. This movie, though. Most of these actors were only ever in this movie. There are a few exceptions. Antoinette Green, who played Bertha. After this movie, she took like a 20-year hiatus from filmmaking, and then has a pretty strong career in film and television until, right now.
Yeah, yeah. That's insane. That okay. So when she came back, she was what, 140 years old?
So Bertha was the first one to die.
Okay.
Yeah. The one obviously that looks like she would be named Bertha.
You mean Roberta Marley?
It's because this movie is full of dumb jokes. Her name is Bertha because do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a special movie.
Really is.
It's really this is one of those. I mean, obviously it's campy and ridiculous, and I don't even know if low budget really covers the lack of money they had to make this one. But I mean, it's something else. I really like it.
Yeah, I do too. It's like if someone tried to make an incompetent version of a trauma film, but they really focused on the creature effects and then nothing else. Like,
yeah.
This is exactly the kind of movie that I would want to make and feel like I'm capable of making, except I would have no idea how to make creature effects this awesome.
The creature effects are fantastic. I mean, if you're looking for realism, they're terrible. But if you're just looking for effective, practical effects that are light years ahead of everything else that surrounds the entire production, this is the movie for you. So this movie is set in 1973, and they filmed it in, 1990, and made no effort to make it look like 1973. It's just 90s hair, 1990 hair. It's incredible. It's like everyone looks like extras on the set from Miami Vice or something. It's like
yes,
it's so bad.
Let's see. Also, so the monster is played by Michael Gingold. He is an actual movie guy. He got his start as Monster's Hands in A Return to Salem's Lot.
Nice.
He went on to be in trauma films and a bunch of other weird little horror movies, and currently has a career as a director of what I think is DVD bonus features. That's not the first time we've come across that, where people oh yeah, I directed DVD bonus features. That's my job.
That's probably it must be one of those little niches in the industry where you can actually make some money,
Yeah, exactly. This movie is accompanied by the musical stylings of Joseph Terry, and luckily he also did not go on to have a career in doing movie composition because, God, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah. He has a Casio and is in charge of not just the music, but also every, sound effect. So, if you're hearing a footstep, you're hearing a Casio footstep.
He's using a Casio, and he's not afraid to use that Casio.
He doesn't really know how, but he has no fear.
Oh, yes, he makes up for it with joyful exuberance.
And then, of course, the person that held this movie together is Ralph Cordero. His creature effects are what put this movie anywhere near anything enjoyable. His credits include The Brother from Another Planet,
Oh, wow.
Splatter University, The Toxic Avenger, not 2 or 3, but The Toxic Avenger, the
Wow.
first one.
Wow.
Robot Holocaust, and then the Brendan Fraser movie George of the Jungle, and then Coraline and Paranorman.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean, he's good. I mean, look what he did with basically nothing. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Sure, he probably had gallons and gallons of latex in his garage or something.
The epoxy was strong with this guy.
Yes.
Also, it looks like I don't think he made that tunnel of weirdness at the end. That had to have just been old Francis was like, I'm gonna go to a garage sale and see what I can put together.
That's what I think the inside of Stevie Nicks' house looks like.
Nice. I've heard a rumor about it.
Everything's covered with netting and scarves.
Oh, it's macrame and dripping.
Whee!
So yeah, I guess some content warnings before we get into the summary.
Yeah.
It's a movie about an abortion monster, so be prepared for that. There's medical mistreatment of women. The abortion in question happens against the young woman's will.
Yes.
Without her consent, and there are sex workers that are mistreated and murdered, and it's really fucked up.
It really is. I mean, I'm really glad that they decided to put some humor into this, because if they tried to make this movie serious, they would be a real problem.
Yes. And of course, this movie concludes with a rape taking place by orderlies in an insane asylum. The rape is, of course, of an inmate at the insane asylum, so that's cool. This is very much Basket Case. Like, you could tell Francis Teri loved Basket Case, and it's that same thing where, like, while it's slapped together, it's silly, and it's got that love of brutality and love of stop motion bits. It also then is transgressive and very upsetting all of a sudden.
It really is. That transgressive quality of this film is really right on its sleeve. I mean, Basket Case has got it too, but Basket Case is more of that kind of like musical theater end of the. Like this one, I think they use comedy as a way of making up for the fact that they couldn't make a serious movie. They just aren't good enough, So they had to put humor into it. I mean, that's the only way to make this movie even remotely watchable. But it's also it does kind of follow along, the Henenlotter school of really campy and really ridiculous, but also transgressive New York City horror.
Yep.
For a movie that, I mean, the only thing they possibly would have spent money on would have been like film stock, maybe renting cameras, maybe a little bit of lighting, and then of course the makeup effects. But beyond that, I sure as hell hope they didn't pay to use that fucking house. And the actors, I'm sure, didn't get much, if anything.
No. Yeah, no. So their budget was $50,000 in 1990 money, and a full 20% of that budget went to the costume.
Wow, that's amazing. It's also amazing to me when you think about how much it takes to make a movie, because, I'm so poor that $50,000 sounds like a lot of money to me. So it's like, wow, they had $50,000 to make this movie? But then I think the suit alone that the guy wears was $10,000, and that doesn't even include the other, like the weird balloon filled prosthetics and the great sewer setup.
The weird sewer maze. I love it. I really like the set of this place. Although it's obviously, I don't know. It's fucking great. Yeah,
It's a very strange house that has screen doors on all the inside doors. I don't know.
Yeah, and the front of it is like a urban junkyard, and then the windows open up onto like fields and a lake or something. I don't know where it is, but it's very weird and nice.
I read back when we did it the first time where, I know it's in New York City, but I want to say that that's the, well, I mean, it would have to be probably the Hudson back there, right? So it's like right there on the water, and there's like a house right next door to that house, like a house that someone would actually want to live in, like right next door. And I wonder what those people were thinking, like, what the fuck are they doing over there?
It's like an Airbnb, but for movies.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, John, you want to jump into the summary?
Yeah, I'm ready to jump in. Oh, did you hear that did you read that they had like little mini plastic fetuses in bottles that they handed out for promotion of the movie?
Nice. Much like in the movie Macabre, but only kind of.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my god. Well, we get the intro is kind of a non-angled Star Wars crawler with goofy, very serious text about 12 deaths in this house, this horrible massacre, and you know the police are baffled, and there's only one survivor, and all this crap. Which they didn't really need to do that because all of that information is pretty much reiterated once the film actually starts.
Yes. Also, whoever wrote it needed an editor. Just one proofreading pass and you would have gotten there.
Yeah, right. And by gotten there, you mean written something that was legible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really stupid. But anyways, so we see a grown-ass woman sleeping in basically a child's bedroom with like Raggedy Ann dolls, and it's not basically, it's a child's bedroom. There's a thunderstorm outside, and we see a creep of some sort who's sneaking up on the room. He has a straight razor in his hand, which he doesn't use in the bedroom, but that's fine. And then he gets into the bedroom, and he pulls a syringe out of his, hospital coat or whatever, and gives her a shot, which doesn't wake her up. That's great. And then puts the needle back in his pocket without, with the point up, which I remember we made a point about that last time because it was just like, wow, okay, you could at least put the point down.
Yeah.
Or, hey, put the cap back on the needle. How about that? She wakes up and she's in an empty hospital. He's pushing her down the hall on a gurney, and they go past this room, and there's a topless nurse who is like a Silent Hill nurse, but not scary at all, and not with a weird-looking face, with her tiny boobs out, carrying an axe. And he asks her if she's ready. They go into the surgery room. The girl wakes up. She's strapped down. She's prepared for surgery. She's wide awake. The surgeon cuts her open while she's awake, and surprise, it's a dream. Didn't see that coming. So she sits up in her kiddie bed. She's all freaked out. She gets up and goes to the bathroom, and her bathroom is all pink. The entire room is wall-to-wall pink. She looks in the mirror, she does that whole thing. She closes the mirror door, and he's right behind her, cuts her throat with the scalpel. He never at any point does he use the straight razor, which he just happened to have in his hand early on. But that's fine. It's a dream. Dreams are weird. So she wakes up. She wakes up legit. Now she's in a hospital bed. And she's all like, she's got the mask on and all that crap, and she's got the crazy face. We see these two doctors, one of which is like incredibly small, or one of which is gigantic. I can't decide.
Yeah.
They're discussing her case, and basically the gigantic one just reiterates everything that you saw in the crawler at the beginning of the movie. And it's very wooden, and it's used as a bookend. This opening is a bookend, and to the asylum business that we'll be discussing at the end, and it's hilarious. But anyways, so we cut to the girl and her boyfriend, and they arrive at this. They walk up. They're now on the property of this very dilapidated shit house. Like, they just found a shit house, and that's what it is. She's super hesitant to go up to the house, and he's being very pushy about it. It turns out she's pregnant, and he's brought her here because this is a back alley abortion place, apparently. For some reason that I struggle to understand, she does not want to go in there and have an abortion. But he convinces her to just go in, because he's pushy as hell. And I don't think they even knock on the door when a yuppie Billy D. Williams opens the door. And he says, hey, let's go around back. And as they're about to go around back, a douche in a suit arrives, and Billy D. Williams tells him to go through the front and to go straight to room 3. I'm pretty sure... No, we do see that guy again. Okay. There's people that come and go in this movie, and you just never see them again. And it's like, wait, where did that person go? So they get seated. They go into the back of the house. They get seated in a waiting room with a hooker-looking lady who is a hooker, and a muscle shirt Walmart Travis Bickle named Axel. They cut to a guy with a briefcase, the suitcase guy. I mean, the briefcase guy from the beginning. Yeah, he is in the house. He's in a room that's got sexy boudoir lighting going on or something. I don't know. And he opens his briefcase, and it's just full of dongs and dildos and vibrators and all kinds of
fake boobs.
Yeah, fake boobs. Really shitty 90s sex toys. And and then the lady comes in that he's the prostitute that he's going to be, playing around with. And she's got her lingerie on. She's like the dragon lady. She's she looks ridiculous. Of course, she, immediately exposes herself because we need to see her boobs too.
Zoom in on them.
Yeah. You need to because they're small. He's wearing... Jeez. I'm an idiot. Mine are bigger. Okay, he wears a beanie with a propeller on the top of his head, which is amazing.
Classic.
Very amazing. He's holding a dildo, which is wobbling in his hand. She has a whip. She whips the whip, which grabs the dildo out of his hand and whips it back over to her. And then she has him bend over and launches his propeller by shoving the dildo up his ass and making these hand thrust motions while he's going ooh ooh.
All accompanied by the Casio.
Yes, by the That's right. That's right, the ridiculous sound effect. It's like, oh God, Jesus God. This movie is amazing. So, yeah. So anyways, the dragon lady is called downstairs, so another lady comes in to take her place. She's wearing a satiny robe thing, and she decides to take over with a huge paddle. And that's after they pull the right out of his butt. Back in the waiting room, the hooker and the two young people are talking. For some reason, she's sitting between the two of them, which I didn't understand. She offers her services to the boyfriend, whispering, as if Rebecca, the girlfriend, doesn't hear her, which I love. And then, it's so stupid. And then in comes Big Mama. Big Mama is, she's obviously the abortion doctor, and possibly also the, pimp lady. So anyways, she's got a B on one lapel and an M on the other, because she's a BM. So
Big Mama BM. It's a joke.
Get
Good
it?
one, Francis.
She shows up. She leads the room. She gives her some tea, as you do, and they talk abortion stuff. And Big Mama basically is trying to sell the abortion as an easy way out. The girl says, "I don't want to do this. If it's just, I'll just give you the money and just let me go or whatever." And the lady's like, "It's not about the money." And then she starts selling her on, as it turns out, none of this is even relevant because the tea is drugged and Rebecca passes out. And in the meantime, the boyfriend Phil is downstairs in the basement with Axel, who he pays with this wad of cash. Apparently that's where you pay people, in the basement. And then back in the operating room, which is a disgusting clapboard room with horrible paint job and bad lighting, and it just looks like a petri dish. She basically just yanks the fetus out, like just whips it out and hands it to the Roberta Marley chick, who she instructs her to take care of it as I've taught you or whatever. So she throws it in the toilet and just flushes the toilet. That's how they take care of it. Yeah. What does she say? What does Big Mama says something like, "Oh yeah, that's a pretty healthy size for a second trimester," or something like that.
Yeah. She was like, "That's the biggest second trimester I've ever seen."
Whew, that's like, wow. That's like that. As I'm watching that scene, I'm like checking off the names of people I know that I could possibly watch this movie with, and pretty much just leaving Josh. Wife, no.
And my mom, she would get upset. Okay.
Anyone for my job, I'd be fired.
Yeah.
The fetus gets flushed down the sewer, or down the plumbing into the sewer. And the sewer is amazing, by the way. I love the sewer. Yeah. It just looks so great.
Dry ice and clean. It's very clean.
Oh, it's great. Turns out there's a toxic waste drum in the yard, which is leaking like brownish beige sludge. Looks like soft peanut butter down into the grating that just happens to be right next to it, and goes directly onto the fetus, who is basically laying against the side of the sewer pipe like a trunk, while this stuff lands on it, and it's just like, it's so disgusting.
It's so effective, though. Like, it is, like, you're watching this movie and you're like, oh wow, this is gonna suck, and then you're like, holy shit, that's upsetting.
This is amazing. It's like starting to mutate. They're using like baffles, so it's all like bloop, 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 bubbling out and stuff. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Phil rejoins his lady on the couch. Rebecca is waiting for her to wake up. Back in the operating room, Big Mama de-meats her coat hanger, which is like, it's a coat hanger just covered in raw flesh and blood. She's just picking it off and throwing it away. It's, oh my god.
It comes off like old bubble gum too, and and she doesn't even finish getting the bits off. She just leaves a bunch on there.
Just enough for the next job. And we see the fetus is growing like these weird crab, like bug type appendage things with like hook claws on the end, like the skin or flesh or whatever from its humanoid limbs are just like tearing off, like peeling off. It's really gross.
Yeah.
Rebecca wakes up. She immediately gets upset and argues with Phil because, you know, he just forced her to have an abortion she didn't want. So, it's kind of a big deal.
She's just now figuring out that happened, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. But, I mean, to Big Mama's credit, she snaps right out of it, and Rebecca's good to go right after that. I mean, she's 100% after it's done. So,
yeah.
You know, that lady's good. She said she's very good, and she was.
So Sherman gets up to leave, and he comes up on this scene where there's not Sherman, the boyfriend.
Phil.
Boyfriend gets up to leave. Is it Phil? I don't know where you're coming with Rebecca and Phil. I don't remember them saying their names at all. But that could just be me.
I didn't hear her name until the very end of the movie, and she was going to be girlfriend the whole way through. And same with him. He was going to be boyfriend, and then somewhere along the way she called him Phil. And then I was like, okay, so I guess only he gets a name? So is this like some sort of stylized choice because she represents all women or whatever? And then no, she has a name. It's Rebecca.
Oh, nice. I'm glad for her. I'm glad she got a name. Yeah. Okay, so Phil gets up to leave because Rebecca is rightfully pissed at him. He comes across this scene where Sherman is there with a customer and one of the sex workers named Tammy. Tammy's mad at the customer for being a piece of shit about something. There's a whole altercation, and she shoots him dead.
Yes, she does. I love the shooting in this movie.
Oh man, yeah, bullets do the weirdest shit in this house.
And they have this amazing idea that, like, whenever someone gets hit with a bullet, they should have a spark go off near their head somewhere or something. It's great.
Yes. We saw another. Oh, it was Basket Case. Basket Case 3.
Yeah.
Whenever you shoot someone, that sparks fly off of them.
They turn into a fireworks show.
It's fucking awesome. So Terry's a badass because she shoots the guy dead. They're like, all right, go lock her in her room while we deal with this. There's a whole thing about how no one can leave until we settle this, but then it doesn't matter, so it's like, I don't know why. There's a lot of dialogue that happens in this movie for no good reason.
Yeah.
We see Suckling, who I call him Suckling.
Nice.
Down in the sewer. He is now standing up. Well, he's growing fast, and he has like an umbilical cord that is like extending out from his belly and doing cool shit. Back in the house, Candy, the oldest sex worker with the silver hair, and she looks like she's a sex worker from the days of yore, is having a conversation with Bertha, the bedreadlocked abortion assistant who is portrayed as having a learning disability of some sort. It's not comfortable. But they have a little touching moment together where Candy tells Bertha that she's smarter than people give her credit for, and the reason that Big Mama trusts her with all of this information is that Big Mama doesn't think she's smart, but she's actually very intelligent. It's nice. It's a cool little moment. And then immediately Bertha is killed when Suckley's tentacle shoots up out of the toilet, wraps around her neck, and rips her head off.
I love when her pulls her head into the toilet and you just see her dreadlocks like slide over the lip of the toilet down into the bowl. Oh,
it's a great shot.
I also like the headless dummy with her sweater on it, but like the neck is like, it's like 3 inches in circumference. It's amazing.
Just shooting blood everywhere while Candy is screaming, but the voice, the audio of her screaming is not synced up with her lips, and it's very unsettling.
It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I know this is a bad copy of Trauma movie style, but it's better than any Trauma movie ever has been.
I watched it twice. That tells you something. Like, just this week alone.
Meanwhile, Sherman and Axel do macho stuff at each other. Axel has a problem with Sherman, and Sherman does not take Axel seriously. And now Axel just kind of spends some time going around the house. He sniffs Bertha's dead neck juice for some reason.
That's right.
He goes and builds some animosity with Candy, and then when they realize that the door won't open, he develops his patented kicking style, which is just the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen in my life, and he does it more later in the movie, so it's just the stupidest thing.
He looks like a guy skanking at a ska concert.
He does. Oh, man! I bet this guy went to ska concerts. It's like, oh, I know exactly how to do a kick move. We find out that the entire house is enclosed by a glowing, veiny mucus membrane with a giant heartbeat for some reason. From outside, we see that it's not covering the whole house, it's just covering the windows and doors and looks like old gray chewing gum. On the inside, it looks way more impressive than that, but on the outside, it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Just then, Tammy is killed by Suckling. She was locked in her room, and its tentacles come up through the plumbing and get her and, like, shoot through the mattress and scratch her all up, and there's just hot sauce packets squirting every direction.
Yeah. They didn't even bother to, like, show cuts on her skin, just blood.
Yeah, just sprinkle some, yeah, it's fine. Axel does his kick move again to break down the door to Tammy's room that they locked her inside of, but they say now it's locked from the inside. I don't know how that would possibly work.
It's magic.
And so stuff happens. Axel ends up pulling a knife on Sherman, and then Sherman gets down into like we know at this point that he's former military. He gets down into his little bad 1990 martial art pose, and he kicks the knife or punches the knife out of Sherman's hand, and by the very act of doing that, knocks Sherman unconscious.
It's quite a move, really.
yeah. It's the static shock of having that happen to his wrist is just enough to kablooey his brain neurons.
Oh dear God.
So now the plan that Sherman comes up with is, all right, it comes up through the plumbing. Let's clog up all of the pipes. So they clog up the pipes to prevent it from getting in. And then a Suckling tentacle attacks Sherman and the boyfriend from under the sink. We don't know how exactly. And they cut it off, and we then see the severed tentacle moving around on the ground in stop motion. It's real bad.
It's real bad.
It's like $5 worth of stuff you bought from Michael's and a stop motion camera, and that's what you got right here.
It's like a strip of aluminum foil wrapped in a red towel and some stop motion.
Yeah,
it looks so bad. I like that. So then, like, Sherman basically has assigned the businessman to start. He gives him a hammer and a chisel, because those are the only tools they have, to chisel the door. But because, in a little bit of social commentary, because he's such a delicate-handed business person who's never worked a day in his life, every time he hits the chisel, he goes, oh, like hurts his hands. It's so stupid. He's literally incapable of making a mark on the door with a hammer and chisel.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And Candy is of course, there to laugh at him as he tries to chisel the door. It's so good.
Making fun of him the whole time.
Oh, it's so good. Phil comes up with this brilliant idea that they need to build a battering ram out of weights, and asks if there's any weights in the house. Well, it turns out that Axel might have a weight set in the basement. So they gather like all this heavy stuff, and they put it inside of a big chest. And then they have like all this rope that they apparently got from a passing ship or something. I don't know. And then they tie...
The only tools that they have in the whole house are a hammer and chisel, yet they have so much rope.
They have like 75 feet of ship rope. So they tie up this thing, and they basically have now created a Home Alone device. And then it's like, really? And so, in the meantime, the businessman's, he's now checking out over on the couch, the girl in the green satin. I just identify them by what they're wearing. So anyways, he's like standing over her, staring down into her cleavage, and he offers her $100 to go upstairs. She says no, and then he refers to her and the other girl sitting next to her as cheap hooers.
Good.
Right when the gang is about to use the Home Alone batter with the gun, he has 100% recovered to his homunculus self, and he has the handgun in his hand now, and he's acting very Axel-y, and he shoots with one shot. Turns out he's a great shot. He shoots the rope with one shot, and that knocks the battering ram down. And then he gets into a fight with Sherman. Sherman gets a hold of the gun. He's about to shoot when, oh my goodness, the fetus monster crashes into the room and takes him away. That's the end of Sherman.
He crashes in like the Kool-Aid guy, like right through the wall.
Oh yeah.
What type of crawl spaces do they have in this place? Also, the walls are bulletproof. We'll find out later. Like, it's really a weird house.
I wish that at some point they would have played like maybe when he got pulled through the wall.
Yeah.
Even anyways, yeah, sorry. That was a little.
No, it's good.
Yeah, a little Miami Vice. Sorry. Axel gives this ridiculous speech about he's stressed out because this thing that's attacking them, it's as big as a person. But it's like on the wall, on the windows, and I don't know. It makes no sense. He's an idiot. He's a total idiot.
He's the worst.
Candy is hassling him, giving him a hard time. She's great. She's just getting super lippy with him. So he shoots her in the head. Just drops her with a single sparkling shot. And that's the end of Candy.
Yeah. Yeah, the best character in the movie is now dead.
The only one that I could find any sign of that went on to make anything with any of that, deserved any respect, she was in Goodfellas. She played the wife. She played the wife of one of the gangsters in Goodfellas.
Nice. Way to go, Candy. I
couldn't find anything else about her online, so they decide they're going to hit the basement because the monster. How does he get? Where does he get his heat? How does he get warm? Oh, well, maybe it's from the boiler room.
Yeah.
So apparently the house. So now I don't know, what are they? They're staying in the Overlook Hotel, like it has a boiler room. So they said Axel, who's he's the man now because he's got the gun. He makes the girl in the green satin robe go first to search the dark, and we get a way too much time spent in a basement with no lights. Yeah. So basically, aside from one light on a wall in the background, the entire screen is just black. Can't see anything. And they're just walking along. They come across a piece of what Phil describes as tissue that must have been discarded. It's like a piece of meat, basically. And he knows this because of his biology class.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, this is tissue.
We haven't mentioned he's wearing his Letterman jacket the whole time with no letters on it. It is just a two-tone jacket in the style of a Letterman jacket.
He has those terrible striped blue and yellow rugby shirt on that were so popular back then. Ugh. He's horrible with his feathered hair. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So Axel freaks out because the thing has, he basically, he freaks the fuck out because he hears something on a shelf. So he murders 4 bottles. He just starts shooting bottles. It makes no sense at all. While that's happening, Melissa, that's the green satin lady, is fetused. She is attacked by the Suckling, who murders her, of course. And we see him in all his besuited glory. He's now a human with a costume on, and it is amazing.
It really is. I love those spiky shoulder pad bits.
Oh, it looks so good. I loved it so much. Axel continues shooting rounds all over the damn place, which does absolutely nothing because the house is made out of God knows what. And then because of he suddenly can't hit anything, they run back upstairs like little bitches. Axel immediately starts arguing with the businessman and decides that they're going to use him as bait. So they put one of those dog catcher loop things with like the stick. He puts that over his head, and he starts making him bark and act like a dog, which is so ridiculous. They go back into the basement. So it's Axel, the businessman, and Phil, and they get down there, and the fetus has somehow fried itself on the electrical box. I don't think they even show you why, right?
No.
He's just over there. Makes no sense at all. And then Axel, this is beautiful. Axel goes over to try to kill him with a metal pipe and ends up electrocuting himself and exploding. He fucking exploded.
It's the best death in the whole fucking movie.
Oh, it's
just
so...
he tries to spear the thing with a lead pipe and then explodes from electricity into chunks.
Oh my god. Oh man, that's okay. Wow. Woo. Is it Rebecca then has a dream? Yes, it's Rebecca who dreams a montage of all the things that have happened in the house up to this point for no reason.
On the Suckling.
It's like okay, well this girl really has a fertile imagination, and then it's back to the battering ram canard. They're gonna try and batter the door again.
At this point, a group of them hears something through the little, like, stupid slats foldy door that goes somewhere, and the sex worker Cheryl, I believe her name is, shoots through it at the businessman Spintop's behest, and it turns out that through that door was Vanessa, so that Cheryl accidentally killed her best friend in the whole world. Vanessa thinking it was Suckling, it wasn't. Meanwhile, back at the battering ram, completely disassociated from that storyline, they managed to bust through the door, and they peel off the rest of the door like it's a sticker, and through the hole they can see a gooey chamber outside of their door, almost as if it's a gigantic womb. Okay?
Yeah.
So Spintop decides, I'm leaving. Goodbye. I'm gonna go out into this wet chamber business. So he walks around in the chamber. The chamber is, it's like macrame. It's like hemp string in loose netting hanging from everywhere. It's all from, like, Dollar Tree. And like wet nylons, and the whole thing is just coated in pink bed sheets and gauze, and it's supposed to look wet, but it is so dry.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very unimpressive.
Oh, it looks like the inside of Steven Tyler's brain.
Oh my god. Nice. Stevie Nicks and Steven Tyler, very nicely done, sir.
Oh my
god. So instead of being in the walls, it turns out that Suckley's in there. He kills Spinny Top business head guy, and then his hand, that's why hand, his hand comes back inside the house through the hole in the door, like Thing from the Addams Family, and just, like, crawls around using its fingies in stop motion.
The worst stop motion. It looks so bad. The quality, it's like they used a Fisher-Price camera to shoot that scene, and it looks terrible. And then why? Yeah, why does his hand suddenly become Thing? That makes no sense at all.
They were like, is this a sense of humor? It'll do.
Good enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, on the sense of humor front, I think so the nurse in her opening dream sequence, the one with her tits hanging out the top of her nursing outfit and she's carrying a bloody axe,
Mm-hmm.
I think the joke there is tits and axe.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's the whole purpose of that, is we need more tits in this movie, and we could make a tits and axe joke.
Tits and axe. Wow.
Yeah. Let's see. At this point, Cheryl kills herself with the gun she used to accidentally kill Vanessa. I forget, yeah, there's also suicide in this movie, because it's like, fuck you, the movie.
Fuck you, the movie.
Then Big Mama is like, I'm gonna go downstairs and hang out with my son's dead body because he's my only kin. And so she goes,
I was like, what the hell is that? He's such a piece of shit.
He's such a piece of shit.
I couldn't believe, I was like, wait, he's her son?
Yeah.
Okay.
It finally makes sense why he was there, because
Yeah.
up until that point it was like, we just have, like, what? We've got two bouncer pimp dudes? Why are
Yeah.
what's happening?
how many heavies do we need in this place?
Yeah, at first it seemed like, oh, okay, maybe Axel's in charge of the prostitution and Sherman's in charge of the abortions, but no, Sherman is in charge of the prostitution and the abortions, and Axel's just also there, and it turns out that Axel is Big Mama's good-for-nothing son, and, yeah, they can all go fuck themselves, and indeed they do, because Big Mama gets killed by Suckling in the basement, and there's this really, really good scene like where they like sped up the footage of her twisting her head back and forth in the corner while she's being killed, and a really good recording of a scream noise played in a weird way. It really
worked.
Good. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Suckling gets the shitty boyfriend next. His big plan was, I'll let it get me, then I'll shoot it. That way I won't miss. And so that happens, and he doesn't shoot it, and it just kills him. Meanwhile, the girl, you said Rebecca is her name?
Yeah.
Rebecca is crawling away on the floor with everyone else dead. Suckling turns towards her. Realizes recognition dawns on his face. He runs at her, and then as he's running, he shrinks down into different gross monsters, getting smaller as he runs, and then jumps into... I'm sorry, folks, this is gonna be upsetting. He jumps into her vagina, and then we are watching her be tortured as it crawls his way back into her womb, and like they've got, obviously someone's hand is underneath her clothes and just like pushing her belly clothes around, and she's screaming as her birth canal is being traversed by a horrible monster, and then it's just living inside of her now.
Yeah. That happened. I was just like, wow, is it really digressing back into some sort of pre-birth form? And yes, it is. And,
Yep.
you know, it was already second trimester, whatever. And then just crawls right up in there. Like,
Yep.
oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's why it could go through the plumbing, that's why it could fit in the crawl spaces, is it is just shape-shifting constantly. It can turn into giant wombs that encapsulate a house and that people can walk around inside of. It's the best monster ever in the whole fucking world.
It is an incredible, incredible monster.
And he still has one trick up his birth canal. Back at the asylum, there's some comical business with the two doctors from before. They're going somewhere down a hallway and talking about it. It turns out that the reason for all these dreams is she has hyperremneurosis.
That's right.
And that's why she keeps having fucked up dreams all the time. And they're gonna go through a door, but first there's an orderly who has a whole desk set up in the middle of a hallway, and he's got his feet up on it. He's smoking cigarettes, surrounded by no smoking signs, and I believe he's looking at pornography.
Yeah.
And he looks up over his magazine, sees them, looks back at his magazine, does a double take, and then says something to the effect of, "What?" And then they just look at him for a while, and then he points the wrong way, and then he points another way, and points another way after that because of it's a comedy, and then they leave, and that's over. And then now she's just in a giant, the type of playroom that you see in really shitty movies about insane asylums. It's, the mattress is everywhere room, but they have every single person in the entire asylum in there. She's cowering down in the corner. It looks like a music video, and the two shittiest orderlies in the world. Yes, sir?
She's in a racquetball court. If you really look close, you can see the ball marks against the wall.
Oh my god, that's a really good use of a set.
It's like an abandoned racquetball court, I think, because they had you could see the line or the tape or the paint used to be, and there's all these black marks or blue marks from the, and I was like, wow, they're in a racquetball court right now. Pretty awesome.
That is a good spot. I don't actually know what a racquetball court looks like, but that's fantastic.
A giant white square with a line painted across the back wall. That's pretty much it. Yeah, racquetball is fun.
Oh man, it sounds really white people to me.
It's so white people.
Is that the same type of court that you use for handball?
I don't think so. I don't know much about handball.
Isn't handball the one where you just, like, throw it at a wall at each other, and
Yeah.
you're both throwing it at the same wall?
But handball's huge, right? That's like a giant court, right? Because I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, it's fine. Fuck white people. Jesus.
Yeah.
So, two orderlies with gross hair go up to her. She's cowering in the corner, and they start talking about, oh yeah, it'll be good, it'll be fine. And they like pick her up by the arms and take her into a closet or something that is just off of the room and secluded and sound muffled. And then one of them is the lookout by the door, which has a convenient window. You can see other inmates of the asylum looking in through the window and laughing, as the other one rapes her.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just happening. We're watching it happen. It's very upsetting. And then all of a sudden, we get the Casio comes in, and Suckly's appendage, I guess, snakes out around that dude's penis, comes on out, wraps around his neck, rips his head off. Blood starts splattering everywhere, and then the lookout guy is also getting his blood splattered everywhere, while the inmates are laughing through the window and blood is going everywhere. Movie over. Oh, wait! No! Now we're just rolling credits.
Sorry.
And... No, it's fine.
It's so good.
And while the end credits are rolling, we are treated to B-roll of special effects that they paid for and just didn't want to not include in the movie,
yes.
I guess. And there's a little boy. He's wearing a trucker cap, and over whatever insignia was on the trucker cap is a pin to cover up that insignia, and that pin says, Schmuck, go home and practice. And he's wearing a t-shirt that says fuck and die on it.
It's the greatest credit scenes ever.
I know. Next to him is a dweeb dressed like Southern Gothic Pee Wee Herman. And both of them are watching a third person who, we don't know why. They're outside the whorehouse. They're outside the window, the shitty looking window, and at first it just looks like olive loaf is melting off of his face. What's happening is his face is melting. And then there's this great shot of the skin and muscle layer of this face that we never see, finally just falling away with these strings of goo, and underneath is the skeleton, and its mouth is like still moving, and they did a good job of like the neck musculature is still there, and it's just gooey and stringy and horrific, and they get like a close-up of the dweeb guy and his horrible teeth with his mouth agape watching this happen, and then it shows the back to the skeleton, and it is now just all of the muscle is gone. You can see a little bit of a tie, and it's just charred like it was burnt for hours. And these characters are credited as Senator, Senator's aide, and boy.
I don't even know what to say. That's so amazing.
It's so good.
I don't even know what to say. It's incredible.
Apparently, at some point, what was going to happen is a senator was supposed to visit the house. He was going to the house to visit a prostitute. With him was his aide and a boy, and I guess they tried to get into the house, and the Suckly's stuff shot acid or something at him. I don't know, but it's great.
Yeah, he like pulls his face off and then like just falls to the ground in this mucky heap. It was like, Well, I don't know what's happening. This is like a lost storyline or what the hell? It was great. Oh man.
Yeah, definitely. He must have been sad. He was like, I can't believe they won't let this into the runtime. I'm gonna put it in the closing credits because we did that, and it's the best part of this.
Yes.
All right, now movie over.
Movie
Hooray!
actually over. Yes. Woo. Oh, loved it.
It's fucking great. I love this movie.
It's a lot of fun. Way more fun than it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you add everything up, it should be just absolutely horrible. And it is, but it's great.
Yeah. The acting is shit.
Yeah, it's terrible. The acting is shit. The script is awful, but the idea is pretty brilliant. And the execution of the idea is so bizarre that it basically borders on, like, surrealism. It's just so strange.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is. It's really great. It's got all of the skillful movie making of a movie that they would cover on MST3K, and it's only pleasant to watch when you watch the MST3K version of it. But this one has that little something extra, and I think that little something extra is like the special effects. But even then, like, it's like, without it, this movie would totally suck. But it does it upgrades the charm of the bad everything else somehow.
I mean, if you break it down, like a lot of these movies, if you break them down, there's just nothing there. If you break this movie down, there is a story there. It's evil, but it's there, and it works. I mean,
yeah. It's a really fucked up story about female bodily autonomy. It's all the way fucked up. There's a surprising number of people in this movie that die from not the monster killing people.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that just get dead because guns are around.
And yeah, exactly, and people are dumb as fuck.
Yeah. So I love it. The first time we watched this, I gave this movie a 2.5. It's been a little over a year since then. I upped it to a 2.9. I couldn't quite bring myself to give it a 3 because it is not a 3. It's not one of those it's so bad it's good movies. It's just one of those it's so bad and also in some ways very good. So
yeah,
a 2.9 out of 5 for me.
I gave it a 2.5.
Nice.
I had my 7-point criteria. I actually did 2.54, but I rounded. I rounded it. So yeah, it's 2.5. But that is not that sounds like, oh, it's just a perfectly average film. It's right between 1 and 0 and 5. But yes, mathematically, yes, that's true. But this movie is a lot of fun. I mean, it's really entertaining. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, you probably have to be selective about who you might want to watch it with. But it's a blast. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm again and again.
Yeah. To describe this movie as food, I would describe it as a shitty burger with amazing toppings on it, and you have to cuss in order to order it. Like, it's called the shit burger.
I'd like the Cuntosaurus Rex, please.
Yes, it's just the worst. The fuck my burger with gourmet artisan toppings.
Nice. So good.
That's good. 5.4 out of 10 loathsome things. It's not a strong rating, but it is a strong recommend. It's up there with like Blood Diner and and Amok Train. Like, it is right up there with Amok Train.
Yeah, it definitely, because this is like a whole, and we've talked about this, like a whole subcategory of really shitty horror films that we just particularly happen to love. This one rates relatively high on that scale. But if you're comparing it to just like the horror pantheon, this movie probably isn't going to do much. But but hey, if you're a horror fanatic, this is definitely one that you have to watch.
Yeah. This is the meat and potatoes of horror dining, whereas, Alex Garland's men is like, fancy.
Yeah, the truffles and caviar.
Yeah.
I'm a moron.
Truffle oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go watch Nicolas Cage in Pig.
Yeah. I thought this movie, I kept thinking at times that I wanted to call it fetus meringue.
Oh man, that house is perfect for like Skinamarink too.
It's like, wait, what happened to all the windows? I can't open any of the doors.
Boing. He used the same Casio.
Oh yeah, good times.
John, speaking of other movies, have you been watching any other movies? Or consuming any other horror media?
I haven't really seen any horror movies. I thought about pulling the trigger on the service that has Wasera, the Bone Woman, I think it's called, that Mexican horror film that I really want to see. But then I was reading some of the reviews for the app that goes along with my TV, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck those guys. I'm not giving them my money. I'll watch that movie at another time. So I haven't really seen any horror. I've just listened to a bunch of horror audiobooks at work. I'm trying to think if there's a bunch of really good ones, but nothing too exciting to discuss, I guess. I don't know. How about you?
I wanted to plug another podcast. Let me find it real quick.
Oh, cool.
I met these. I ran across these guys on Blue Sky, and they were advertising their podcast, and so I went and I looked at it. I think it's only on Spotify, and there was the one that, like, their new one, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool. And then I saw that their second episode ever was on Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Oh.
And I was like, oh yeah, I want to hear what they thought about it. So I listened to it, and it's like listening to us if we were very calm and didn't laugh at stuff. But they have, like, the same takes on stuff. Like, they were like, oh, yeah, this part's really cool. Oh, man, what an amazing actor. Like all of the stuff. They're really cool guys. So, if you're like, man, I wish Loathsome Things weren't such a couple of chuckleheads, go listen to Bring Me the Axe horror podcast. They're new. I think they just started in February, and they cover some really cool movies. They kind of have that same niche that we do, where like our bread and butter is like those weird little movies that you find on free streaming services that no one's ever heard of. That's their shit too.
Nice. I like it. Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. I hadn't heard of those guys. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, they're really cool. And as far as watching things, I watched, for the first time ever, I watched Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Extended Edition in 4K, ultra high definition, and boy, was it pretty.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's once you adjust to the 4K ultra high definition TV, it becomes quite a treat.
Yeah. I just canceled my HBO Max subscription, but it has a few more days left on it, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch all 3 extended editions.
Excellent.
And just see all the things better than I've ever seen them before.
Nice. We just one of Silo, the it's like a sci-fi kind of dystopian post-apocalyptic sci-fi show. It was on Apple TV. It stars Rebecca Ferguson, who was in Doctor Sleep, the Swedish actress, and she wears like the top hat. Her character, I forget her character's name, but real pretty. And it's got a bunch of people in it. Rashida Ali is in it. What's his name? The guy from Jacob's Ladder was married to Susan Sarandon. Tim Robbins. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a bunch of people. It's like thousands of people, about 10,000 people that live in this weird underground silo, and they have these like computer screens that basically show a view that's shot with a camera outside of this like wasteland. Like the world outside is a horrible wasteland, and they have their own police force. They have their own judicial wing, which are like the creepy people that are scary. And they, it's like organized as a hierarchy. So, like, you know, the wealthy people live up top. Then there's the mids, where all the working class people live, and then there's the mechanical down in the bottom, which is like all the dregs of society. And they have all these rules. It's very kind of Orwellian, and they have this thing where they have a law that if you say that you want to leave, I want to go outside. If you say that out loud, the law is you have to go outside, and they give you a cleaning implement, and then they put this spacesuit on to try to protect you long enough so that you can go out and clean the monitors, the camera screen, and then you die.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's and so then it's like all the intrigue and, you know, and all this stuff. It's really good.
I've never heard of that. That sounds pretty cool, though. Apple does some weird stuff.
They do. I mean, they do a lot of shit, but every once in a while they pull it together and they do something like, you know, Severance or
oh, that was so good.
Yeah, and, you know, like that. But then they try to do horror and like that stupid thing with the Harry Potter guy, and that show sucks. Those people live in that like townhouse in Philadelphia, and the guy's a chef, and the woman is, you know, they lost their first child, so they have this doll that looks exactly like a child, which is apparently a thing. And Shamalama Ding Dong was like the executive producer or something. And it's bad. Anyways, yeah.
I did watch another movie. I watched that fucking one. It's the girl from the chess TV show. I can't talk about anything. She's in it, and it's about a bunch of people get invited to an island to eat at this ultra gourmet restaurant. And it was a really cool first half of the movie, and then it just turns into complete shit.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I know there's been a kind of a slew of horror adjacent cooking movies, and like fine dining movies. I don't know.
Yeah, like foodie horror.
Yeah, but that one kind of fell apart. Huh?
Abort. It fell apart.
It fell apart.
Good. Yeah. It was like it had a really good build up, and then like the conclusion was, oh yeah, this movie can go fuck itself. Yeah, that's fine.
Nice. That's always the best. You get put the shit at the end. That's probably smart.
Nice. So John, what are we watching when next we watch?
Okay. Well, I wanted to. I so want to pick another obscure movie that, you know, but I also like knowing that more than 2 people listen to the show, and if we do too many of those in a row, I think we just alienate the entire planet. So I'm going to hold on to the one that I want to pick, and okay. I want to make sure that it's something that we can actually find that isn't a shitty videotape copy on YouTube. So, because I've really shit the bed with those last 2 there, with Macabre and Harmape.
Oh, so, yeah, that's right, it was too, wasn't it?
Yeah. So,
Don's
So I'm going with the original Phantasm.
Oh, fuck yes. Who is that? Is that
Don Coscarelli's Phantasm?
Nice. Yes, let's go.
It's a great film. And a pretty awesome series. It's got some highs and lows, but Phantasm #1 is definitely a high.
That's fantastic. That's the one with the little shiny, like, stab balls, right?
Yes.
Okay. I've never paid attention to that movie, so I know that there's the creepy guy, and I know that there's shiny stab balls, and that is literally everything that I remember about that movie.
Don Coscarelli is a madman. I mean, he thought up all this stuff. It's like this weird sci-fi horror buddy movie. It's like a young guy and an older dude, and the older dude is all gung-ho, and he has like a sports car, and the world is being attacked by this giant man with a funny hat that says "boy" all the time, and has a weird ball with a spiky thing that comes out, and little minions that look like Ewoks. It makes no sense, and it's amazing.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And you should look forward to it as well, dear listener, because we will be coming to you with that 2 weeks hence, from when this movie drops, not from when you're listening to it, because I don't know what your schedule is like.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you